Welcome to Edinburgh, a city of poets, the Enlightenment, and world-famous whiskey. Let's get ready to have an adventure. My name is Igor, explorer, adventurer, and a guy who ends up in some interesting places. With a degree in journalism and filmmaking, I traveled to the ends of the earth investigating the greatest places in the world. This is Igor Travels the World. Beneath the Royal Exchange are many narrow alleyways known locally as the Close that once used to sit at street level. They were filled with tenement housing up to 8 stories tall, and the people living there would have been absolutely miserable. This is a perfect example of a medieval courtyard. On the one hand, tenement housing, where the lowest of the low would have lived at the very bottom, and right next to them, the wealthy with their mansions, and they all coexisted together. Of course, living in the medieval times had its own set of dangers, and one of them was burglary. And so the medieval people came up with a unique and ingenious system to prevent that. If you look at the steps here, the first 2 are normal, but the third one is called a trip step. The steps are very narrowly put together, and so if you wouldn't know that that was there, you could fall and injure yourself, causing ruckus and commotion, and be subject to a citizen arrest. I'm going to tell you an incredible story about half-hangit Maggie Dickson. In the 1700s, she was married to a fisherman who, for whatever reason, disappeared and left her poor. She then came to work at this inn behind me, where she became pregnant by the innkeeper's son. Now, depending on which version of the story you hear, one of 2 events happened. She was either tried and convicted for basically being married and then having a kid with someone else, adultery, or she had the child, but the child died, and she went and left it on the river, and it kind of floated away, and they found it and traced it back to her. For whatever reason, she was tried and convicted and sentenced to death by hanging right here in Haymarket Square. As the execution happened and the deed was done, they put her body in a casket, and they drove it to her hometown. Along the way, the party decided to stop at a bar and drink a bunch of whiskey. Some commotion later, they hear boom, clang, bang, and they go out to the casket. Once they investigate, they open it, Maggie pops up, breathing, and they say, wow, God must have intervened and saved her life. And hence, as double jeopardy, she could not be charged twice. She was let go and allowed to live the rest of her life here in this inn with the innkeeper's son.